Hi guys, I'm back with segment number two. We're talking to some different ladies this evening about their wellness journeys, and we just had about 20 minutes with Charity. Really interesting, her talking about building up her wellness and her immunity with some physical issues that she's dealt with over time. And now we're going to have the opportunity to talk to Megan Shane, who is another one of my good friends who's offered to spend some time with us this evening. So I'm going to add her in here and then we will get started. Find out her journey, how she got started with essential oils, and what things were really important for her. There she is. Hi, Megan. Can you hear me? Are you there? I can't hear you. Ah,
You can hear me now.
there we go.
Yay! It was me because I had it on my speaker downstairs.
Ah,
The house could hear me. Sorry. All right. All set up.
all right. So I wanted to thank you real quick for being willing to have me grill you tonight. Just briefly, we're going to try to shoot for about 15 minutes. And if you don't mind starting with telling us who you are and then what's your story? How did you get started with Young Living and what's your big passion around that?
Okay. My name's Megan Shane, and I am a mom, and I have two kiddos. That was where I was. Bedtime is right around now, so I was with them. I have a 9-year-old, just turned 9, and an almost 6-year-old, which is crazy and hard to believe. Um, and I got started with Young Living because probably it was about 5 years ago when I'd had my second kiddo and she was a toddler, and I just wasn't in a healthy place. I had had rough pregnancies. I had had rough go of it with like just between the sleep deprivation and the like worrying about what they ate more than what I ate and all of that. I just My health wasn't a priority. And so my priority for a few years was really focused on them. Um, and not in a bad way, but I was kind of lacking on taking care of myself too. So I started really investing in making some healthier choices for myself. And a lot of that started about nutrition and paying attention to what I was eating. And um, I started to just read labels, and that's really where my wellness journey began, was learning that labels mattered a lot, and
Mm,
learning things like canola oil is bad for you and stuff that just you don't learn that anywhere unless
right.
unless you actually look up information, that margarine is not good, because that's something that, our culture has kind of encouraged, all this, fake food, low fat, low sugar stuff. And
Mm,
um, I just was making bad choices, and I started to learn that I was doing that I didn't even know I was. Um, so labels became a huge factor, and then reading labels on my kids' stuff too, and what foods they were eating, and how much kind of fake stuff is in our world. And that's where it really started. And then that turned to reading labels on a lot of other stuff, and reading the labels on our cleaning supplies became a huge thing, because when you have toddlers, you're latching all of your cabinets, and you're paying attention to what they can get into, and you're just more alert. If you're dusting the counters and they go and grab the duster, you can kind of have a moment of panic. And air freshener plugins and things like that, they're just investigating everything, and in turn you start to investigate it. And so I started to really look into what were some of my options, and I was buying things that I thought were natural, like Method brand and Seventh Generation, and things that cost a little extra, right? And you think that they have the word natural on the label, and then I started to learn that that really wasn't ideal. because there's still a lot of synthetic stuff in those. And I looked up information on it, and I realized that I'm like putting like floor cleaner all over the floor that my little like barefooted kids are climbing all around in, and their hands are in their mouth instantly, and the dog was on the same surface, and some of that stuff even says like not for use around pets. Um, so
Mm.
yeah, that was really where I began to try and look for alternatives and try and figure out ways to get around it. And I'm a DIY type person anyway. Like I love to cook. I love to like be creative and make things. So that led to me looking for recipes to make my own cleaners and get rid of things like that. And that led to learning that essential oils existed. Like I don't even think they were on my radar prior to that. And I'm kind of mad. Like people had to have known about this. Why didn't they tell me? Like,
I know, it's amazing, all the information out there. Like
yeah,
you were saying about the foods and things that we just don't know about.
right,
Yeah.
right. So
So you
a
found
lot
out about
of really
essential
don't.
oils,
Yeah. So
and
you
then what led you to Young Living in particular?
Well, when I learned that essential oils existed, I had already gotten to this point with food that my goal was to find the highest quality possible and not have to chuck a bunch of low quality stuff out, which is what I had done with food. I literally was like in my cabinets throwing stuff out because it had so much junk in it that I just knew it wasn't even worth keeping. And that was frustrating, but necessary. And so I didn't want to have to do that with my essential oils because they are something that you can invest in. So I did a lot more homework, and sort of started to wanted to have more knowledge before I jumped in. And that led me to finding somebody who really knew what they were talking about with food, and
Mm.
appreciating their background and their perspective on that, because Lisa, who's my mentor with Young Living and essential oils, has a PhD in health and wellness. And so I really trusted a lot of her recipe information and food information. And then that helped me to also really trust some of her perspective on where to start with essential oils. And she recommended Young Living because of the quality, because of the standards, and the commitment to like ongoing quality, that it wasn't just using words like natural and pure, but that there really was meant to be a true bigger picture. And I had already started actually buying foods from like farmers markets and local and the farms that are in our area. And I loved that Young Living had their own farms. And I couldn't find that
Mm.
with any other company. They really had a commitment to the farming practices was huge to me.
And you've been to two of their farms, haven't
I
you?
have. Yeah, so I guess that commitment kind of like transpired into like needing to really see it in real life too. I went to the Mona, Utah farm. Um, I guess that was 2.5 years ago now. Almost 3 years, I guess, maybe. I'm forgetting, losing track. But and then and while we were there, I actually went with my mom, and during the convention that they have there, so we learned a lot about the process of making essential oils. We saw the distillery in use. We saw the farms, and the guys there working on the farms. We also got to participate in the farming process and plant our little yarrow plants, and see all of that. And I guess that just wasn't quite good enough for me. So this past winter, I went to winter harvest, which was really submersive because I was at the farm for 4 days, 5 days total. And we literally worked on the farm during that week. So we got to help haul the trees that they were, the balsam fir trees that they were harvesting. We got to help load the chipped trees into the distillery vats, stomp them down, watch it close, watch it start to drip from the actual distillation process. So
That's so
that was
cool.
the thing.
Yeah, so in my last segment, I talked with Charity a little bit about incorporating essential oils into her everyday use. And I'm sure that after what, 5 years you said that you've gotten that down pretty well. But I hear you talking about the company and the farms, and so this has really become more of a business for you, right? So you're using the oils every day, but you're also seeing it from another perspective. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess it is funny because sometimes you don't realize how much you've integrated them into your life. But if I stop and think about it, I mean, I've used them kind of naturally throughout my day. And one of my main kind of passions has become helping other people learn how to do that and helping them see that it's not overwhelming. It's not a big, giant transformation. It's really about small little steps and just building a different way of thinking and a different way of their day-to-day lifestyle. And hopefully, the goal is to really help people see that it can be about life and not just about, one problem and one solution, but it's really more about being healthy from the beginning. And I think that that's something that, when we have our group called Essential Life, it's really more about creating a life that empowers people to be healthy and not always thinking from a place of illness. My background is in mental health, and I think something about that system that has always frustrated me is that it's always about treatment rather than prevention. And I think that we approach that in our medical world too. So I see this really cool opportunity with Young Living and with these tools to provide people a different path of seeing. It's about wellness, and it's about, stopping that negative, unhealthy path before it even starts. So I love that we have this opportunity to talk about ways to be healthier and to not always be like running to a solution for a problem, but really just not like avoiding the problem to begin with, which is really my goal. And having a huge group, a network of people who have that passion is exciting because that's rare, so I think that that's something that I've seen in the business aspect of this. It's just life-giving rather than draining of energy, which is how I felt when I was working in mental health full time, just constantly drained. So
Yeah, I know. I've really appreciated it, and it's been it's been a paradigm shift, I think, and having all those people behind us to kind of help with that shift has been really amazing. Um, Unfortunately, my iPad is telling me my storage is full, so I'm afraid I'm gonna have to cut us off at this point because I don't want to lose our video. But I really
yeah,
appreciate your time, and I appreciate your passion and everything you've done to help me on my own journey too. And again, if anybody has questions, then shoot some comments on the video, and we'll be around to answer them. And hopefully, this video works. So I'm going to sign us off. Thanks, Meg.
yeah, thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.